With that down, let's move on to our fifth and final main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Dovid M, who writes, "Greetings and salutations. I know you're taking a I'll believe it when I see it attitude about Indiana Jones 5. Yes, I very much am. But I was wondering if you saw Harrison Ford's comments about Indiana Jones 5 needing to kill it like a Marvel film in order to really succeed. What do you think about the comparison?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, David. And yes, I have adapted and I've been sitting on this attitude of I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to Indiana Jones 5. Of course, Indiana Jones 5 was supposed to come out in 2019. They still haven't even started shooting this thing yet. Apparently, they don't even have a completed script yet. Harrison Ford is not getting any younger at this point either. So I just still have my doubts. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, I've got my doubts. I've got my doubts that it'll ever actually happen. I hope it does. There's a good chance it will. I'm just saying I have my doubts. Well, anyway, he was asked about it recently, about where things are at and the making of it. Is it going to happen? And what do they need to do? And Harrison Ford was uncharacteristically kind of very communicative about in his answer. This is what Harrison Ford had to say. "I really don't give them," that's the audience, "I really don't want to give them what they want to see. I want to give them something they didn't anticipate. They are used to a degree of disappointment when you revisit films in a franchise. Certainly, the Marvel movies have made a spectacular example of a success that worked the other way around. Like, instead of disappointing the audience when you keep going back and revisiting it, you keep surprising them as you go back to visit it. So Marvel's made a spectacular example of success that worked the other way around. They killed it. Well, we're not going to make another Indiana Jones unless we are in a position to kill it. We want it to be the best. We've got some scheduling issues and a few script things to do, but we are determined to get it right before we get it made. We're determined to get it right before we get it made." I think these are actually really interesting comments, Rob, especially considering being in an era when a lot of other high profile, we've moved past it now, but we are still in this era where a lot of high profile people in the movie industry have crapped on the comic book movie genre and talked about they're not even real, this, that, or the other thing. To have a Harrison Ford come out and say, "Hey, you want to see who's doing it right? Look at Marvel. That's who's doing it right. And we need to emulate that success. We need to kill it. And we're not going to make this thing unless we're going to kill it. And we're not going to make it until we're in a position that we're really going to succeed." I've got two kind of frames of thought on this, Rob, and I want to know what you think here. Number one, this is obviously what you want to hear. You want to hear the filmmakers, the people involved saying, "We are totally dedicated to making this the best movie it can be." On the other hand, you got to understand, despite some people erroneously thinking otherwise, every filmmaker wants to make their film the best it can be. They often don't succeed, but that's what they want to do. But still, it's good to hear Harrison Ford say, "We want to make this thing the best it can be, and we're committed to making it the best it can be, and that's why we're all the delays." On the pessimistic side of my brain, though, I've got to admit, part of me is thinking of, that's exactly something somebody would say when their movie's a mess and they don't want to talk about the real reasons why their movie's delayed. "Oh, no, we're just delayed because we really want to take our time and make sure it's the best it can." Like that. So on the optimistic side of my brain, I'm thinking, this is great to hear. On the pessimistic, jaded side of my brain, I'm like, yeah, that sounds exactly like something somebody would say whose movie's project is just a mess and they don't know what the hell's going on. Just come up, just say what the audience wants to hear. We want to make it the best we can be. So I don't know. It's probably the former. It's probably they really do want to get this right, because I think they probably know this is their last Indiana Jones movie. I think they know that. I think they know they're not about to launch a new trilogy of Indiana Jones films with Harrison Ford, that this is probably going to be their last Indy film in the iteration of Indiana Jones that we have always had. And this is probably the last one, and they probably do really want to kill it. But I did also think it was really interesting the fact that Ford, brought up and conjured up the Marvel name as an example of what it is they want to try to hit and achieve. Anyway, Rob, you heard Harrison Ford's comments. What do you make of them?
Well, look, I don't think Harrison Ford is dumb. I think he knows what people said about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I probably know what he thinks about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And he wants to go out like the guy is pushing 80. And if he's going to commit where he's going to look, if you look at, there's pictures of him. He was on Ellen DeGeneres promoting Call of the Wild. And there was a picture she showed of him on a bike. I mean, he was ripped. You see his arms. I mean, that guy's got guns. You can tell he's been getting in shape. He's been working out. He's getting into, as much as old as he is now, he's getting into fighting Indiana Jones shape, and he's not doing it. I mean, boy wants to get paid, but he wants to go out with a bang. He wants to tie a bow on this franchise and make it the best it can be. Because why wouldn't you? Everybody wants to do that. Making movies is too hard. And also, at his age, he can just sit back and, smoke a bowl and feel pretty good about himself. He doesn't need to open himself up to this. And I think if he's going to do it, I think he's going to commit. I think he wants to make this movie a shining example. It might be the last movie he ever makes. He doesn't know, and he wants it to be great. And I think he's absolutely sincere about it.
What do you think the plan is here moving forward? Like at what point, Rob? Because I didn't pull up his age. I should pull up his age. Give me 1 second as I pull up Harrison Ford's age. He is in his late 70s. Okay, so he's 77 at this point. There he is, 77 at this point.
He looks great.
And he looks fantastic. He does look fantastic. But at what point, Rob, there has to be a line somewhere that is a point of no return that says, if we can't get a movie into production by this, then there's really no point in doing it. I mean, do audiences flock out and see an 80-year-old Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones? I'm not saying they won't, and I'm not saying there couldn't be benefits to it, but I'm asking, will the audience get excited, revved up, and want to go out and see an 80-year-old Indiana Jones? Like, do you think there's a line in the sand here somewhere, and if so, where do you think it might be?
Well, I think there is a line in the sand, and it really depends. Again, you have to write the proper story. He can't be hanging off the back of trucks the way he was in Raiders.
Right.
You have to write to the man. And I think I love stories about old adventurers. I love stories about old heroes going off for one last ride.
I do too.
I love a Western, The Professionals, and I love those kinds of stories. And I loved in Star Trek when we saw the original crew, they were allowed to age within the franchise. I really like those stories. And as long as the story is good, I'm excited. I want to make sure it's good. I want to love this final adventure that Indiana Jones is going to go on, and I'm just hoping for the best.
All right, Rob, I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Oh no!
What are the chances, percentage-wise, right now? What percentage chance would you give that this Indiana Jones 5 movie actually happens? Where do you have the percentage chance at right now?
Knowing Steven Spielberg and that he can bang out 2 movies like Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in a year, I will not count that man down if he's indeed directing this film. And I would say that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next 365 days. And I would give it 65%.
65%. I'm going to go, I think if it's not in production in the next 365 days, my percentage is going to drop like a rock.
Yes, me too.
Within the next year, if they get the chances they actually go into production the next year, I'm not going to be too terribly far off from you. I'm going to say 45%. 45%. So actually, I thought there might be a bigger gap between you and me. So not that far of a gap. Question is, guys, what do you think about Harrison Ford's comments? Do you think he's right? Do you think, hey, if we're going to do this, we got to kill it like the Marvel films have been killing it with their films? Do you think it's even going to happen? What percentage chance would you say of this film actually happening right now? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys,